Hello and welcome to the Movies Past and Present podcast. It's December 21st, 2022, and this is episode 94. I'm your host, Stanford Clark, and I'm podcasting from the crossroads of the West in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Just like my blog, moviespastandpresent.com, I'll be providing recommendations, commentary, and reviews about current and classic cinema. Thanks for tuning in, and let's do this thing. Well, Merry almost Christmas to everyone. Coming to theaters this week, we've got a few new films. First up is Babylon. This is a drama from Paramount Pictures. It's directed by Damien Chazelle. And this looks like an interesting film. It's an original story set in 1920s Los Angeles and set within the film industry, within Hollywood, and about the transition from silent film to talkies. Although it might sound, someone like Singing in the Rain, but I think it's a lot more graphic. According to the rating from the Motion Picture Association, it's rated R for strong and crude sexual content, graphic nudity, bloody violence, drug use, and pervasive language. And Merry Christmas to everyone. It's got an interesting ensemble cast: it's Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, and Diego Calva. Also in the cast are Jovan Adepo, June Lee, and Gene Smart. The press materials don't give away a lot of information. It says it's a tale of outsized ambition and outrageous excess, and it sounds like it. So definitely for adults, but Babylon is opening this week. Also in wide release, this film has been kind of slowly opening across the country, is The Whale. This is a psychological drama from A24. It's directed by Darren Aronofsky, and it stars Brendan Fraser. And you might have seen pictures or heard about this, but Brendan Fraser gained a tremendous amount of weight to play this role. He plays a reclusive English teacher who attempts to reconnect with his estranged teenage daughter. It's based on a play by Samuel D. Hunter, and Brendan Fraser has been getting rave reviews for his performance, not to mention his scary body transformation. But anyway, so The Whale, I haven't seen it yet, and we'll see if I venture out to try it. It's rated R by the Motion Picture Association for language, some drug use, and sexual content. Also in wide release now is Empire of Light. This is a romantic drama from Searchlight Pictures. It's directed by Sam Mendes. It's set in an English coastal town in the early 1980s, and all the press materials really say that it's a poignant drama about the power of human connection during turbulent times. So whatever that means. It's got a great cast, though. Olivia Colman is in it. Michael Ward, Colin Firth. So anyway, but what really had me is that it reunites director Sam Mendes with Academy Award-winning cinematographer Roger Deakins. Roger Deakins is just absolutely fantastic, and you should look him up and see the great films that he's been the cinematographer for. So that actually is the thing that has me most interested. Empire of Light is rated R by the Motion Picture Association for sexual content, language, and brief violence. Next up is the new Whitney Houston biopic called I Want to Dance with Somebody. It's from TriStar Pictures. It's directed by Carrie Lemon. And, I don't know if you've seen the trailers for this or not. They've been showing them a lot this year. And so this film is finally opening this week. But it looks to be that they've just recreated, at least what they're showing in the trailer, just lots of stuff that we've already seen from Whitney Houston, her music videos, some of her famous performances, including when she sang the national anthem at the Super Bowl. And what the press materials are saying, that this film is a no-holds-barred portrait of the complex and multifaceted woman behind the voice. Naomi Ackie plays Whitney Houston, and I don't know how much the Whitney Houston's family or her estate was involved with this. I would assume probably a lot. And, just what we know about Whitney Houston's life is that clearly it was tragic. And we'll see what gets portrayed or not in this supposed biopic. It also stars Stanley Tucci, and we'll just, again, I'm a little skeptical about it. I love Whitney Houston's music and what a gorgeous voice she had, and I mostly just feel sad that her talent kind of got squandered by her tragic life. Let's see, though. It's rated PG-13 by the Motion Picture Association for strong drug content, shocking, some strong language, suggestive references, and smoking. All right. So now, finally opening up this week is one of the films that I'm actually really looking forward to. Go figure. It's Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. This is an animated family comedy adventure from DreamWorks Animation. It's directed by Joel Crawford. The character of Puss in Boots is part of DreamWorks' Shrek universe. He first appeared in 2004's Shrek 2 and instantly became kind of a sensation. I think the Puss in Boots character really stole that picture. He's so funny. And then he's just been in some other DreamWorks projects, of course. Some of the other Shrek sequels. He also had a solo film that came out in 2011, and then has been in TV series and all sorts of stuff that that DreamWorks has pumped out. So, but he's back in his own film. Everybody's favorite leche-loving, swashbuckling, fear-defying feline returns for the first time in more than a decade. And I'm all for it. I got to see the first 30 minutes of this film at the Animation is Film Festival that I attended in the fall, and I was really impressed. This film is, as you might have seen if you've seen the trailers, DreamWorks is trying an interesting artistic style, still using computers, so it's still CGI and still makes sense within their Shrek universe. But it's a very painterly style. So, literally it looks like it's paintings that come to life, rather than just, that very well-defined CGI style that's very much part of DreamWorks, kind of arsenal with how, what they use to make and design their films. Antonio Banderas is back as the voice of the notorious Puss in Boots. In this film, as they talk about, is this last wish. Puss in Boots discovers that he actually has burned through 8 of his 9 lives, and he wants to try to get these lives back so he can keep on having adventures. He has to embark on an epic journey into the Black Forest to find the mythical wishing star and restore his lost lives. But with only 1 life left, Puss will have to humble himself and ask for help from his former partner and nemesis, the captivating Kitty Softpaws, who is voiced again by Salma Hayek. In their quest, Puss and Kitty will be aided against their better judgment by a ratty, chatty, and relentlessly cheerful mutt, Perito, who's voiced by Harvey Golan. And together, our trio of heroes will have to stay one step ahead of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Goldilocks is voiced by Florence Pugh. And they're also Jack Horner and the terrifying bounty hunter, the Big Bad Wolf. And the Big Bad Wolf actually looks pretty scary, as I could tell from the first half hour that I saw. So anyway, I think this film looks great, and it's been getting great reviews. The friends that I've talked to who have seen it have loved it. So anyway, this is probably the film of all the ones listed that I'm most looking forward to, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Also, just as a little heads up, early on in the new year in 2023, I'm going to be doing a DreamWorks animation episode of the podcast, and I'm talking about some of their interesting filmography that they've done, and trying to give DreamWorks a little bit of a shout out. So Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is rated PG by the Motion Picture Association for action, violence, rude humor, language, and some scary moments. So big variety of films opening up this week for Christmas. We've got Babylon, The Whale, Empire of Light, I Want to Dance with Somebody, and the one that I'm most looking forward to, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. For reviews this week, we've just got a couple of films I'd like to talk about. First up is the new version of Pinocchio, which is playing on Netflix. This Pinocchio is a stop motion animation film that is the brainchild of director Guillermo del Toro. And it is really an interesting film. This Pinocchio is, if you've had a chance to see the trailer or anything, and I actually will put a link to the trailer in the podcast notes on my blog, but it has an incredibly distinctive style. I think the Pinocchio that I'm most familiar with is the Disney one from Walt Disney Animation Studios that was done in 1940, and just that classic animation, and also the scary, quite scary story of Pinocchio. Del Toro with his stop motion animation team really have created a very unique looking film. Del Toro has kept the same thematic type elements. That Geppetto creates Pinocchio, and that Pinocchio comes to life as a puppet, but as a little wooden boy, and that he's got to go through some trials. Del Toro sets this film during World War II, which I think was a very interesting creative choice, and in Italy, of course, but it's visually it's breathtaking, but also I think he's created a very interesting new take on it. So it feels very much like a Pinocchio story. Doesn't seem foreign to that, but it's really, really striking. Of course, it's got some scary stuff. Otherwise, it wouldn't be Pinocchio. But this is definitely not necessarily familiar territory compared to that 1940 Disney film. You might have also seen this year Disney created their quote unquote live action remakes. You know, these live action remakes, they're hybrid films typically. They're lots of computer generated imagery integrated with some live action stuff. But director Robert Zemeckis did a remake of Disney's Pinocchio that they put on Disney Plus, and it's just dreck. I just thought it was just a terrible film, probably one of the worst films of the year as far as I'm concerned. But thankfully, this just has nothing to do with that. It's a very original take, artistic, interesting, thought-provoking. I don't know how kids are going to react to it. I mean, they might like it. I kind of frankly think it's more. This almost feels like it's more for adults, but anyway, it's really just an interesting film, and I think definitely worth checking out. So it's now on Netflix. So if you're a Netflix subscriber, I would definitely check out Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Next up is the long-awaited sequel to the film Avatar. Avatar first came out in 2009, the very first film, and it was an absolute sensation. It became, I think at the time, it was the biggest box office hit. It surpassed Titanic. And just a phenomenon. So anyway, finally, all these years later now, we get a sequel. It's called Avatar: The Way of Water. This will be a spoiler-free review of this film, so just so you know. But James Cameron, who's the director and the brainchild about this, he just took a lot of time to create the sequel, and the plan, if I'm reporting correctly, is that there's going to be a new Avatar movie every other Christmas for like the next 4 or 5 years. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's planned at least a total of 4 sequels. That number keeps changing, and who knows what's going to happen over time. Or what's going to happen to anything, but that's the current plan, and there we go. So this film picks up really kind of where the last one ended. So as you may recall, Jake Sully, who is the character played by Sam Worthington. So Sam Worthington was that paralyzed Marine who would go into that tank that would allow him to then live within this is the quote unquote Avatar, but the body of one of the big blue Na'vi people that live on the planet of Pandora, which is where the movie is set, or I guess where this now film series is going to be set. But anyway, Jake, the human, died, but they were able to get his spirit transferred permanently within the body, his avatar body. And so he is now, married to Neytiri, who is played by Zoe Saldana, and they have a family. So they have children, and anyway, they're living their life there in Pandora, and their world gets rocked. And this is where I'll try to keep it spoiler-free, but the world gets rocked and they have to move. And so they move to this new village that is of course populated by the Na'vi. They're still there on Pandora, but it's a water world. These people live on the water, and then they've got a great developed breath capacity where they can be underwater for extended periods of time. From what I've read, James Cameron really was working on this animation, this his motion capture that could be done underwater, and so that is interesting. And then this whole new world or part of the planet of Pandora that's underwater that we haven't seen before is just gorgeous. So I think one of the highlights of these, both the original Avatar and this one is the digitally created world that they've done is so beautiful to look at. I saw it in IMAX 3D, which is also where I saw the original too, and it is the best experience. I just can't tell you. If you get a chance to see an IMAX 3D, do. I think it's seeing it in any version, any 3D. If your eyes and body can tolerate. Not that it's a big deal, but I know that it's not that 3D doesn't necessarily work for everyone. But it's just stunning. I just was, and the movie's long. It's like 3 hours, so get ready for that. But honestly, I wasn't bored or uninterested once. Given its length, I think it's a bit self-indulgent. I think that James Cameron and his team were really kind of showing off some of the cool technical techniques that they have come up with that ation don't really further the plot. They're wonderful to look at, I think, but as I said, self-indulgent. But I kind of think that he can do what he wants. I mean, he made one of the most successful movies of all time, and we've waited a long time for a sequel. So, that's where I stand on it. But then I feel like he's created a really interesting story, a story about this family, and I thought the relationships were interesting. I thought, James Cameron knows how to do great action sequences, and the last third of this film was just nonstop, breathtaking action, and I just loved it. So I highly recommend Avatar: The Way of Water. And said see it in 3D and preferably IMAX 3D, and plan for pack a lunch because it's a long movie, but highly entertaining and just I think an absolutely terrific film. Well, that does it for this episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast. Again, links and more information about the movies discussed in today's podcast can be found in the podcast notes on my blog at moviespastandpresent.com. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. Links are also on the blog. And follow me on Instagram. My handle is @moviespap, as in past and present. As always, I hope you'll enjoy some good movies this week, particularly some Christmas movies, whether they be from the past or the present. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, be safe out there. Dedicate yourselves to the truth, and again, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of you.